I'm Krusen, and I'm a filmmaker. I'm an indie filmmaker, and I'm here in St. Louis for the St. Louis International Film Festival, where I'm showing a film that we produced in Bosnia and Herzegovina called Sabina K.
Now, what is the message what you want to pass through this movie?
The message that I want to convey in the movie is that there's always hope. No matter how desperate our circumstances may become, don't give up. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on people. Don't give up on yourself. That there is hope. There's, as we say, light at the end of the tunnel. I first went to Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2012, and I was searching for a true story that I thought would lend itself to a powerful movie. And people often ask me, well, why would you go to Bosnia? And the truth is, I don't fully understand why I went to Bosnia, apart from the fact that Bosnia is in Europe, and I wanted to make a movie in Europe. And I also wanted, as I said earlier, bring this message of hope, that there's a God in heaven who sees our suffering here on earth, and that we should not lose hope, that we should put our trust in God. And I knew that Bosnia had been through this terrible war of the 1990s. And I, being an American, had only seen it through the television, if you will. So it wasn't immediate to me, but I knew that there had been terrible suffering there. And I heard from people I knew who lived in Bosnia, friends I had, that there was still a lot of suffering and hurt in the people, like you might say, psychic drama, like post-traumatic stress syndrome and so forth, that people were suffering from, and that a message of hope could really make a difference for the people there. And so, of course, I didn't know what story I would end up choosing, and that's why I interviewed a number of people trying to hear their story until I met the lady. Her real name actually is not Sabina. She chose to, well, she requested that we use a different name. And so I respected that, and we came up with the name of Sabina. And so Sabina went through a time of great heartache. She had served in the Bosnian army during the war. She was a nurse, and she made a lot of friends during the war. They called her Queenie because she was young and one of the few females in the army, in that part of the army. And she was a great nurse, and she was loving to the soldiers and cared for the wounded. And she met a young soldier there named Sasha, and they meet up 10 years later in 2004 and fall in love. They knew each other from the war, but they weren't lovers. In 2004, they fall in love and they decide to get married. But the problem is that Sasha is Catholic and Sabina is Muslim, and the families disapprove. And the young couple decides to get married anyway, but I don't want to give away the whole story, but the pressures come to bear, and Sabina eventually ends up homeless and pregnant, and her situation appears absolutely hopeless and desperate.
Your impression of Sarajevo and people in there?
Sarajevo is a beautiful city. The people are beautiful. The people treated me so well. They're hospitable people. I really admire how they put an emphasis on family relationships and being close together as a family. And I really like how they are sociable as people. For instance, if I was meeting with somebody to talk about business, if you will, like, some aspect of the film, you don't talk business until you drink some nice coffee and get to know each other a little bit, maybe have a grappa, I love that friendliness and that conviviality, I'll say. It's a big word, but you show yourself friendly to other people, and it creates just a wonderful atmosphere. So we did have a great atmosphere there on the set, shooting in Sarajevo, we shot most of the movie right in Sarajevo. There were a few scenes that we shot in Korčula, but most of it was shot in Sarajevo. And the people just were lovely people.
How many different towns the movie will be shown here in the United States, and how it goes?
Okay. So currently, and we're in November 2016, Sabina K is playing in the cinemas in Croatia. So we're really excited about that. And if you know anybody over in Croatia, tell them to go see the movie before it leaves the theaters. We're not in theaters currently in the United States, but we're making deals where hopefully it'll be playing in China and Poland, Australia. That doesn't necessarily mean in the theaters, but on television in those countries. And we're hoping that it will come to, you know, look, to be honest, I don't know that it will end up in the theaters in the United States. If there's enough interest and we see a groundswell of support and interest, well, maybe we can at least play in the major cities of the United States where there's a significant Bosnian population. St. Louis is #1, but Jacksonville, Florida, many Bosnian people there. Boise, Idaho, Los Angeles, I believe, Chicago, New York. So perhaps we could string together a dozen or so cities around the U.S. If the Bosnian community would like to support the film. And because I would like to see the movie also get out to a very wide audience, not just a Bosnian audience, but to a general American audience. It tells it's a love story, and it's a moving, warm-hearted story that, as I said earlier, offers a message of hope. And I think we need to hear a message of hope in today's world. And we also need to, I believe, see a movie where, as you were saying earlier, in Sarajevo, where all the major faiths at one time lived together in peace and harmony. We need to get back to that. I believe that Sarajevo at one time was called the Jerusalem of the Balkans because people of all faiths lived together and they lived in peace together. Well, we're supposed to be getting better as a world, aren't we, and a society? But they were doing it better years ago than they are now. So I would like the movie to be a bridge builder. I would like the movie to be a conversation starter among people of different faiths and different groups. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a cup of coffee, you know, and get to know each other as human beings, as people.
What's the message for the young people who wants to become especially independent, you know, in this type of business?
Sure.
If you can give them advice.
Sure. Well, there's a saying, youth is wasted on the young. And what that saying means is that young people have all this energy, but typically squander it. And old people have wisdom, but they don't have the energy. So you can figure that out. But wow, I would encourage all you young people out there who are interested in the media, interested in cinema, is stay true to your passions and follow your dreams. Don't give up. Never say never. And keep knocking on those doors, you know, because miracles do happen. They really do. But Louis Pasteur, the great French chemist, he said, chance favors the prepared person. So when you prepare, when you do your homework, when you do your training, when you pay your dues, when you stick at something, chance is eventually going to come around and be your ally and your friend and pull you forward. And of course, I don't need to tell the young people today all the tools that are available through social media. We raised part of our budget for Sabina K through a Kickstarter campaign. It covered the cost of our music score, for example. And so all of those resources are available to you guys nowadays that, you know, that I didn't have when I was young and all my hair was brown.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, and
Thank
good luck to you. Good luck to the movie, and we hope so certainly that you're gonna go back and make some other good movies.
Thank you.
As Sabina K.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.